Welcome to the Real Board Loft. I'm Forman, and we're going to talk about Hydroflex surfboard constructions. On my left here we have the Hydroflex SuperCharger technology, and on my right we have the Hydroflex Natural technology. Everybody knows the Hydroflex SuperCharger technology that started coming out onto the market last year, and there have been some refinements to it this year. But the Hydroflex SuperCharger technology starts with an EPS foam blank for the center of the board, and then it has the Hydroflex 3D rooted fiberglass, epoxy resin, and vacuum bagging. And what the vacuum bagging and that 3D rooted fiberglass does is it actually infuses those roots of the fiberglass into the foam blank. So whereas most fiberglass, either with or without vacuum bagging, is going to attach like in a flat layer to the foam, the 3D rooted glass actually has fibers that penetrate the foam and go into the foam as the vacuum bagging sucks that glass down onto the blank. The other thing that the vacuum bagging does is it sucks out all the additional resin. So what that does is makes the board significantly lighter, because you don't have the wasted resin that is just adding pounds to the board. Sucks it out the back, it wets out all the cloth, gives you a good lamination to the board, but anything that you don't need gets sucked out the back of the board and is basically thrown away. So it makes the board a lot lighter. The SuperCharger tech is a great technology for having your board be as light as possible. They've also got really good flex and spring in the boards as well. If you see the stainless plug in the center of the board, or the valve in the center of the board, on the SuperCharger Hydroflexes you're able to tune the flex by adding air pressure or taking air pressure out of the board. If the board has low air pressure in it, it's going to be softer, and that's going to work better for bumpy or choppy, windy conditions. If you pump the board up and give it a higher air pressure inside, that's going to make the board stiffer, which is going to be better for total glass. You also have the ability to tune the flex per what your preferences are, how much response you want out of the board coming in and out of the turns. So that's the Hydroflex SuperCharger. Great technology for lightweight boards, specifically bigger boards, or for small wave grovelers. Having something that's very, very light is really going to up your game out in the surf. Here on my right we've got Hydroflex Natural technology. Hydroflex Natural starts with the exact same PU blank that a PU poly board would be shaped with, and shaped by the same people. You got to remember that both of these boards that I'm holding here were both shaped at Lost, and then they go from Lost over to Hydroflex for their glassing. The Natural starts with a PU blank, so it has a very familiar feel, like the rest of your quiver. Then it goes with the German engineered 3D rooted fiberglass, epoxy resin, and vacuum bagging that infuses those roots down into the blank. Gives you a very strong board, very resistant to delaminating, buckling, or breaking. And that's really where this board differs from a standard PU polys. It's much stronger for those things, delaminating, buckling, and breaking, compared to a standard PU. And a lot of the pros are asking for this board specifically for this construction. Chloe Andino, Mason Ho, and also Carissa Moore are all riding Lost shapes in the Hydroflex Natural construction, because they can get a board that's lighter than their standard PU poly and stronger than their PU poly, but have that same PU feel through having that same PU blank. So that's the Natural technology and the SuperCharger technology. Both of them have epoxy resin, both of them have the 3D rooted glass, and both of them have vacuum bagging that presses those roots down into the blank. The differences are that the SuperCharger has an EPS foam blank and the ability to tune the flex, and the Natural has that familiar PU blank and just the tried and true PU blank where people are used to it and they can feel familiar with the board right out of the blocks, but just have a board that's going to last them quite a bit longer and stay lively longer, and also stay in one piece longer. Hydroflex construction.